Hey everybody, this is JacqBean coming back with another reaction to Fear the Walking Dead. Today we're going to be doing episode 6, which is the mid-season finale, and it's entitled All I See is Red. This episode is going to wrap up the Padre story, and in the end you'll see that Morgan and Mo will end up leaving the group. As well, you're going to see Dwight and Sherry part ways, and Dwight is going to be leaving the group as well. He's going to go home. It was a good episode, a good finishing point for, at least for Morgan and for Dwight. So let's get into this reaction. This episode really took me back to The Walking Dead, to Morgan's clear day, to the clear episode, because you really have a great understanding of what happened to him at that time when Rick and Michonne found him, and even what happened to him afterwards, how he became the all life is precious person that Eastman created when he taught him how to use the stick and how to kind of do combat in that way. So back in the clear episode of The Walking Dead, we really didn't know what to clear meant. You know, we knew that he was in a bad place. We understood that it was because of what happened with Dwayne and with Jenny. But we didn't know what he went through in order to clear. He did tell Rick when he was going through the story that I see red. All I see is red. And this episode gave us an idea of what seeing red meant for him. So the episode opens with Morgan just kind of laying out on the ground, looking like he was sleeping or had been hurt. Madison comes in and wakes him up. He's discombobulated. He just kind of really doesn't know what's going on. And she tells him that, you know, she came here, she heard about what happened to Grace, and she was coming there. But when she came there, he had killed all of those walkers that was surrounding the car in the last episode. And if you remember, in the last episode, they locked him in there, but he was definitely able to get out. But you could see when they went back into the car that he had gone through all that. He cleared, and Grace died, and it looked a lot like that room when Rick and Michonne and those guys found him. Just lots of writing on the wall, and he had just lost all memory of what he did. But when Morgan had kind of woke him up, and showed him, he realized that everything around him was dead. And he had even almost attacked her. So seeing red for Morgan, you know, puts him, he has this violent outburst that he can no longer remember. He can't remember doing it. Morgan understands what's happening now. He understands that when he clears and he gets so violent that he's not remembering. And so he's just kind of looking and saying he needs to save Mo, because Mo went to this car, you know, to that little area to clear the walkers. And that he needs to get her. He needs to find her. He has to make sure that she doesn't die. But he also knows that he's in this state. He's in this place. He's not safe to be around. It's not going to be safe for Madison and Daniel and all those folks to be around. And he knew that Madison wanted him to be the person that could help lead this team. But he's just like, I can't be the person that does that, because I can't even, you know, make sure that you're safe. Because for me, of all people, I can't even make sure that you're safe from me. But Madison told him that she was going to stay anyway. She was going to stay because she was going to be there, and that he wouldn't do that. You know, she wouldn't let him do that. She's going to be there by his side so that he doesn't fall down that well. They met up with Daniel and the rest of his group, and honestly, they really didn't want Morgan to go anywhere. You know, Madison would go, Daniel said he'd go, some of the other parents, because he's volatile. You know, he could hurt them. They then heard that from June that the prefects had been overtaken. There was so many, it was thousands of them in there, and that they had become surrounded, so they were getting out of there, and Madison believed that Mo was going to take them to the houseboat, which really upset Morgan, and we know that it would have upset him because in the first episode when they went to that place, first of all, it was about to fall in the ground anyway, but that was where Morgan had his first breakdown. That's where all of the Claire, all the Jenny and Dwayne stuff, that's when he had first started to see red, and now he's definitely going to go back to that space. Although he did talk Madison and them into letting him go, he gave Madison his axe just as a way to say that, if you have it, then I won't be able to hurt you. In the meantime, Shrike and Crane kind of realized that the coordinates that their father had wasn't in the files that they had at Padre Island. They were on him. So, although these children tried to fight as many of those walkers as they could, and they actually tried to get away and go to that houseboat and wait for Shrike and those guys to come, she's like, you need to backtrack and go back and find which one of those walkers that was in there has the coordinates. So they won't go and do it, but they want to send the children back to go through all of those walkers to find their dad, who had on binoculars, and apparently the coordinates are located within his binoculars. So Morgan hears Shrike telling them what they need to do, and he's saying, Mo, don't do this. She is going to get you killed. You do not need to do that. You guys go into the houseboat and just stay there. And she's pressing them. Shrike is pressing the kids to do what it is that they had planned to do. This is what we've been working for. This is what we trained you for. This is what we're working towards. You should do it. And at that point, Mo, who is reacting some kind of way because of what she saw happen to Grace and how it made her feel, how it hurt her. She was just like, you've already lost me, don't come looking for me, and then she cut off the radio. Morgan was then he was like, we're going to go and get them. Now they're not going to be able to make it. Morgan falls back in that place of seeing red, and he grabs the axe from Madison's hand. Of course, then you switch to another scene, and he is like in mud up to his chest. He's blacked out, and when he wakes up, he sees that he's floating because they have, I believe that's Madison's oxygen tank is kind of holding him up. But then he looks at the oxygen tank and it has the axe in it, and he's kind of going, what did I do, oh Lord, what did I do? Because they're all gone. He gets back on the walkie-talkie and he just looks, he's talking to Mo, and he's like, listen, what's happened to me is what happened before, the clearing, the stuff that makes him kill everything living or dead, and that if she was to run into him, if she was to see him, that she should go the other way, because he doesn't know what he's doing, he don't know what he would do. After talking to her, he's in that muck and he's getting himself out of it, but he starts to see walkers coming towards him, and of course he's starting to go red. He's seeing red, and he starts to swinging. He is swinging, and then the next thing you see before, like his last swing, is that Mo is standing in front of him. Now, I'm not sure that I thought that it was Mo. I just think that he was thinking that he's seeing red. He's going back to these pictures of little shots and flashbacks of things, that maybe that really wasn't Mo, that maybe he's in a dream state or somehow. But it was Mo. When he wakes up, he's in the houseboat, and Mo has him kind of tied up to something. She is no fool. She is not letting him go. He did swing at her in that last scene that I saw, that I was like, maybe he was just dreaming. He did swing at her, and she's not taking any chances. The axe is far enough away from him that he can't reach it. And she continues to fight off the walkers because, of course, they were coming in. That was what they did last time. They were in this house. The house is sinking. The water is high. The walkers are trying to get in. She's trying to kill them. Ultimately, he knows that Mo needs to get out of there, so he finds that he has Madison's old oxygen tank. Not the one that he hit an axe with, like her current oxygen tank. So, of course, Madison is out there without any oxygen. But he had the oxygen tank that he had when he, Mo, and Madison were stuck in the houseboat. And what he did was to have Mo put the oxygen in her mouth, scuba tank, and go underneath the water. He said you'll be able to get past it, and he asked Madison to just look out for her and to get her. He was just like, whatever happened to me is gonna happen to me, but I just want to make sure that she is safe. Once Mo goes under the water and kind of leaves, he understands what Shrike is looking for. She's looking for her dad, the guy with the binoculars. Well, who comes walking into the houseboat, or the boathouse that Morgan is in? It's sinking. And he's like, lets Shrike know that I have your dad. I see him. I could get the coordinates. And if I do find the coordinates, I'm going to bury him so that you can't use them. As those walkers are getting closer to Morgan, he is able to reach his axe. He's able to get himself loose, and he starts to see red again. He is hammering and axing and everything. And then the next scene, he wakes up and Madison is pulling him out of the water. They then see Shrike. She's there. She has a gun. She wants to know where her father is because Morgan had said that he was in front of her. Morgan told her that he had went down with the boat because, of course, he doesn't know. He blacked out. All he saw was red. And then she was like, well, good, then you can join them. But then, as dramatic entry, her dad starts to growl and he's coming up out of the water and she sees him and she melts. It's her dad. They couldn't kill him in the first place. And she's not really able to kill him now. She's looking at him. This is a person that she loves. So all of that hardness and toughness that she wants to put in the prefix so that they don't feel that kind of hurt and pain of losing a parent, she is not exhibiting that. She is looking at him, oh daddy, and he gets to come up and give her a nice beautiful bite on the neck. Apropos for the way they've been acting. But I did feel just a teeny tiny bit sad for her. But I bet you this, Madison and Morgan didn't even try to stop it. Now there was a small part of the story that had to do with Dwight and Sherry. As you remember, Finch had just started getting sick. The radiation didn't work for him. He was going to turn into a walker, or he was going to die. And they were in that outpost, sitting there with them and June, and June really let Dwight know that there's nothing else that she really can do, Dwight was going to go out there to try to get, Shrike and Crane to go out and help. And she, and June was like, I didn't see my child die. I wasn't there for my child when they died. And you should be there for yours. Because he was just ready to go. He didn't want to see that happen. But he did give her the gun. And she said that she would go out there and that she would get Shrike in order to give him the time, the final bit of time that he had with his son. And he went back to be with Sherry and Finch. And Finch became the person that gave mercy to Shrike when she didn't have mercy for anyone else, including him. Because at one point, Shrike, of course, is bitten. When Shrike wakes up, June has her on that table in the train with the head of a walker sitting there looking to bite her. She's like screaming, wanting her to save her, wanting her to give her radiation, and she was like, not in the littlest bit. And so she wanted for Dwight and Sherry to be the people to say what happens to her. They gave that option to Finch, and Finch said she doesn't need to be in the pain that he's in. So out of the goodness of his heart, for her, it gets to be quick. But back to the Morgan story. When Shrike did get bit, we find that Crane has all of the prefects, and they have captured Daniel and the rest of his group, and they're going to try to make the kids, the prefects, the children of these parents, they're trying to make them kill them. So they're just like, kill them. They're 1, 2, 3, shoot. And they couldn't do it. They just couldn't do it. These are the people that they love, no matter what. And Dove was probably the worst of the prefects. But I think that it's because she found out that her parent wasn't there. Her mother wasn't there. She didn't have nobody. Her parent wouldn't be one of the people in this group. And she kind of didn't care whether they died or not. However, she wasn't one to shoot them. She would yell at the other prefects and say, shoot them now. But nobody would shoot them. One of the things that Madison kept talking to Morgan about was that you know, when people die, you're not alone. You know, they're still with you. They're still in your heart. You don't lose everybody, although he still kind of feels like that. And he saw that almost in Strike when she saw her dad. Her dad had died, but she still had feelings and love and emotions for him, and that's why he was actually able to bite on the neck, because I don't know if she thought that he was going to come up and give her a hug and kiss and tell her that she's great, but he bit her on the neck, and he kind of got it. And when the prefects had Daniel and the group down with the guns to their head and they wouldn't shoot him, you know, Morgan and Madison came back, and Morgan was just kind of letting Mo know that he was willing to let her go. If that's what she wanted to do, that she could do that, because she'd always be in his heart and she'd always be with him. And she really got it. I know even though she did go away, she didn't want to leave him in the houseboat, and she just kind of said, no, I don't want to remember you. I don't want you to be the person I remember. I want to be with you. Mo decided that she wanted to be with Morgan. They let Crane know what happened to Shrike and that she had gotten bitten, and he was able to go to her. June was going to just kill her because that's what Finch said. He wanted to have a quick death. And then Crane came in and he saw her there, and he wanted to be able to say goodbye. June let him know that either he was going to shoot her or June was going to do it. So Crane said that he wanted to do it. And that's kind of how his story ends. At this point, I don't know where he fits in as they come back aboard in the fall, but we'll find out. We then saw Morgan and Mo leaving on a boat. Morgan talked to Madison and let him know that there was these people that he had left before, that, you know, he kind of left them, you know, as a broken person, and he wanted to go back. He wanted to go back to where they were and to see them. And that's what he and Mo were going to do. Madison went back to the other group and just decided that they could stay on Padre Island. They could go back and find those names, those files with the names of people's parents. They locate them, bring them back to Padre Island, and do really kind of what Padre wanted to do, what their father really wanted to do, by making it a community of all the people to use the coordinates to find those other lands and then have cooperating communities. Morgan's ending showed him and Mo burying Grace, so it had to be farther away from where they were. Mo had her hair down, she had on some regular kids' clothes and not the uniform, but they were burying Grace. But next to Grace was Eastman. You remember Eastman from Walking Dead is the one that showed and talked to Morgan and taught him that all life was precious. And Morgan just let him know that he didn't think that was about killing or not killing, which is what he had been doing, and which probably the reason that he was never able to come to terms with the things that happened. Why getting red was the thing that he did. And he told him that it was about using the time that you have to spend together, making that worthwhile. And then he let Mo know that they were going to look for that man, that friend that he had, that told him that he shouldn't run away from it because you can't run from it. And at that point, he picked up his walkie and he said, "This message is for Rick Grimes. I am coming to look for you whether you are in Alexandria or if you're not. I will get on this walkie every morning and I will, speak to you, see if I can catch up with you. I will leave it on for a little bit after that. Who knows? Maybe we'll catch up with each other." And it just made my whole heart just kind of burst with joy, because that's how Rick left Morgan in that first episode. I'll leave it on at a couple of minutes every morning. It makes me excited to see where we'll see Morgan next. Is that something else, or does he in his own way become part of the Rick and Michonne show in 2024? So the final scene of the episode had Madison, Madison was talking, but it was the other side that you saw, where there was a guy, you couldn't see his face, so I don't even know if it was a guy, but there was a person. He had he had some electrical claws. It was a map. It was these things. I wasn't sure who it might be, but Madison was telling them that that Padre isn't in charge anymore, that it's open, it's free for people to come to. And they packed up their stuff, and the scene went dark. I was reading a little bit on it. I wasn't a full Fear the Walking Dead. I looked at it a little bit more when Morgan came on, but I think the name that I was hearing, that it was Todd. So we'll see how that works out and if Todd comes there. So tell me what you think. I think it was a great way to end Morgan's run on Fear the Walking Dead. He did such a great job. Lenny James is such a great actor. He did a really great job with that character. And it's also really nice to see him become a part or be back with the Walking Dead universe, if that's his show or if that's a show that he gets leading him to Rick and Michonne, or even if it's on the Rick and Michonne show, which probably makes more sense than any of the other shows that we have in the universe. So I'll be sad to not see him on it, but it's also kind of cool to see Madison leading this group of people the way she did at the very beginning. Also, I didn't speak as much about Dwight, but his story and Sherry's story ended too. So at the end of it, when Finch died and they buried him, they decided that they would go their own separate ways, that they're better off apart than they are together. And, Sherry asked Dwight where was he going to go, and he said he was going to go home. So I'm not sure what home is, because I've only known Dwight from the little time that he got to stay in Alexandria with our crew after all of the Negan stuff. So is he going back to Alexandria too? Where do we see him? Where will we see Dwight again? Will we see him again? It was a great story, great episode. Looking forward to how Todd might fit into, coming back. It almost gave me the vibes of Terminus for some reason, but maybe Terminus the opposite way. We're going to get the crazies coming in into Padre Island, into our group. And then hopefully we'll get to see the others. I know there are many other members of this Fear the Walking Dead cast that we didn't get to see within this first half, because I think it was focused more on Morgan. And I don't know. If you're enjoying the content, Please don't forget to subscribe and cut on notifications so you can know when I'm adding new content. I really enjoyed this. I am going to be doing Dead City. That was incredible as well, but that's a whole other video. So until next time.